I'm very honored to be on the stage after Adam, because I'm sort of the Adam Twardach of Glyphs. So I keep saying this until Adam says I'm the Rainer Erich Scheichelbauer of FontLab. So, may I introduce to you Yuri Yamola of Glyphs, Georg Seifert, and me. Yes. The current version of Glyphs is 2.3.1 beta. There have been 2 new versions out yesterday, and I'll give you a quick rundown through what's the current state of how you work in Glyphs. As you know, Glyphs is an application that sets out to have a unified user interface geared specifically towards type design. And a few major concepts of Glyphs, for those of you that may still be unfamiliar with the software, I'm going to run through. For one thing, we use something called automatic alignment very heavily in Glyphs. This is a major concept in the design of the software, and we recently extended that with a few interesting new things. Automatic alignment basically is a way to basically you put anchors into base glyphs, pretty much as you do in FontLab 6, and you can automatically have all the derivative compound glyphs align automatically with it. So for instance, you take the O, and you can quickly access all the glyphs where O is a component in, and then you get all the variants of all the diacritics for O, and they're all automatically aligned. You see at the bottom where the metric numbers are, it says auto. That means you don't set it yourself, or you don't have to place the component yourself and update it yourself. They are hot linked and they're right in place. The base component as well as the diacritic component. The concept is pretty clear and simple, as Adam already explained. You have anchors that sort of match each other. The mark anchors get an underscore, and then you get the compound. You can make a compound glyph from that. That's like casting concrete. You can take this information to not only build automatic alignment, but we also use this for mark attachment. So if you already put your anchors into your Latin fonts for automatic alignment, then and you export it, you automatically get all the mark attachment GPOS code in your OTF, which is pretty cool. And of course, sometimes you want to use automatic alignment, but it's not really practical because let's say the classic case of the D caron, that where the diacritic is not on top, but to the right of it. Now, wouldn't it be great to use automatic alignment, to keep it automatically aligned, but have a little bit extra space on the right side anyway? Now you can with a we call this a metrics key, and that's the incremental metrics key. If you started with equals plus, then that amount gets added to the automatic alignment. And you can still use automatic alignment. So if the D is updated, D caron gets updated as well, plus 100 units in this case. And of course, with every automatism that you use, you can always deactivate it, or and what we introduced newly is that you can enforce automatic alignment on things that were not automatically aligned before. And good thing, of course, you want to use maybe mark attachment for your compound glyphs, but maybe you don't want the great mark attachment code in GPOS. So, well, it's no problem in Glyphs. You just use the top and underscore top anchors, but you prefix the name with a non-letter. For instance, hashtag or exclamation mark or something, or you can even use an emoji if you like, because we're Unicode aware. So this would be valid anchor names in Glyphs. that do not get exported into GPOS mark attachment code. And something else that is new with automatic alignment is that we now can use cursive attachment anchors for automatic alignment. So here, for instance, we have a case where we use the isolated ta as a component in the final ta here. And you know, we only need the left side bearing of the ta and the right side bearing of this in stroke that we just put in. And you can see we use not top and underscore top, but we use exit and entry anchors, the same that you would use in Glyphs for producing cursive attachment code. But again, prefixed with a non-letter in this case, so it does not get exported into the mark attachment code, but it will use solely for automatic alignment. You see here on the right side bearing it is inherited from the in-stroke, which always has to have the same overlap in Arabic, and the left side bearing is taken from the isolated ta. Cool. Another thing you can automate easily in OpenType font production is feature code. Since we're a Mac-based application, we have to do that with AFDKO feature code. And based on the glyph names that are available in the font, the glyphs can analyze your glyph structure and then auto-build code for you like this. For instance, a pretty large part of the OpenType feature code you need for many Indic scripts, including Devanagari, can be automated this way. That, of course, means you're required to, if you want to use that OpenType feature code automation, then you would have to use the nice name glyph naming convention that we use. We try to use glyph names that are as human readable as possible. And so, for instance, for the short E in Devanagari, we would write E short Deva. And one thing that we've done, and we currently have, I think, like 57,000 entries in our glyph database, in our application internal glyph database. And we already did this a while ago, but we're happy to announce it again. We open sourced our glyph database, and you can download it for free on the Glyphs SDK. Interpolation, big thing. Glyphs 2 supports 3-axis interpolation, so not only weight and width, but any third axis you can imagine. We have ways to check for, we can have multiple separate interpolations inside a single glyph. We call this the bracket trick, or the bracket layers. And you see here there's 2 separate interpolations in the $sign. So maybe for the bolder weights, you want to have the separate stroke, and for the lighter weights, you want to have the continuous stroke that goes through the $sign. And so that's, this is a screenshot from directly out of the app. This is not a visualization on a workshop handout or something. This is really the compatibility preview in Glyphs itself. So you can select any node and you see exactly where it interpolates to, so it's very easy to spot interpolation problems. Another thing we added is something called the brace layer. Take, for instance, an interpolation from very light to very bold and take a dense glyph like the lowercase e. You see that the crossbar in the middle is not really great. It's too thin in most cases. So what we do is we insert a brace layer. You see that in the top right. We call it a brace layer because we use curly braces and indicate an interpolation number in there. We can now have an intermediate master at this position in the design space. And now we can make the crossbar thicker, and the interpolation in the middle is a little better. So for instance, so you can have an additional master just in a single glyph. Right? But of course, when it comes down to your daily business of drawing glyphs, there are some things that are built right into the core of glyphs that make the working with paths a lot of fun. For instance, nudging, of course, built in, and multiple Bézier control point handles, editing at the same time. All nodes are equal in glyphs or even BCPs. You can easily resegment outlines for better interpolation, for instance, or for instance, for changing this the stem. It's easier to resegment it with built-in tools that have been improved recently. So it used to only work on a single node, now they work on multiple nodes. And we took the idea of resegmenting into the white space. I think the color setting of the projector, so it cuts it off a little bit. But you can see we can have negative corners as well. So it's pretty cool. I think Roger Excofon would have loved that feature. And I think you can always switch to measurement mode temporarily by holding down a few control keys and have everything measured everywhere, anytime, anywhere you like. Right? Yes, smart components. Smart components are a way for, you want to scale something, right? But scaling in type design is always a little tricky because you will always also scale your stem width, right? Wouldn't it be great if you scaled that stem width, for instance, is preserved, right? Now, that would be cool, right? Turns out we can actually do that. And if you set up your so-called smart glyph and use that as a component somewhere else, that will be a smart component. And you can set certain parameters in it, for instance, width and height. And if you do that, you can use bounding box scaling for putting smart components or placing smart components inside your glyphs, which is pretty cool, which is a godsend for making Chinese fonts, right? Because you can reuse radicals and stuff. And I apologize to our Chinese friends in the audience because I totally messed up this glyph now. Corner components. Now we know components, we can inject, we can place a complete shape inside another shape, but wouldn't it be great to have a path fragment injected into other paths? Well, it turns out you can do that. It's called a corner component. You can use it, for instance, for serifs. And you see you have some, you see the corner, the corner here in the middle. This is the path fragment that gets injected at the bottom of the N and also on the diagonal endings of the lowercase v. And if you see here, there are special anchor set. Let me show that again. So, is it playing? Yeah. There is a special anchor set called left, right? And that controls the way it is inserted on a diagonal. You see that on the top. It's not just added geometrically. That would stick out too far to the left, but. And even if you keep your handles vertical above the left anchor, you see how smoothly it is placed in the targeting shape. Of course, you can use corner components for other stuff as well. So, for instance, you can add. This was a recent project where I've been involved. We can add multiple corners at the same time. And you saw we transformed this rectangle into an O in this typeface. This is an older typeface that is being remastered right now. That was Blender by our good old friends Binnenland in Switzerland, and they were very happy about this feature because now finally they had a way to precisely control all the curves and keep them the same, exactly the same, throughout the font. Another thing you can use it for is tackling the old hyperellipse problem. If you've ever wanted to draw a curve like in the O or in the C on the inside, that's pretty tricky. Now you might be able to draw a curve like this for a single master, but it's pretty much impossible to have an interpolatable path set up for that. And you see here on the O, in reality, there are 4 corners on the inside, and I place round corner components on these corners. And now I get an hyperellipse in the middle. So this is what it looks like. This is, with corner components, you can interpolate this. And when it's exported, it will be exported like this. You see triplets of nodes, and they're all at an angle. And so good luck with interpolating that. It's like, I tried it. It doesn't. Now it does. But one of the really big new things in recent versions that have happened since ATypI in Sao Paulo was that we radically changed and reworked the Python API of Glyphs. For instance, it's all documented on docu.glyphsapp.com. So if you want to write scripts or plugins for Glyphs, this would be the place to go. And not only do we provide documentation, we provide templates and a complete SDK for writing plugins as well as in Python as well as in Objective-C. And of course, for the end user, it has always been a little difficult to request the end user to go to GitHub and please sign up with GitHub and please don't download but clone the project and double click that. I'll better place an alias there and then make sure it's always up to date. And now you don't have to take care of this anymore as a user. All you need to do is open up the plugin manager and download all the freely available plugins that are out there for Glyphs. Very, very easy. Any developer can very easily add his or her information to the database of available third-party plugins. Speaking of third-party plugins, there have been a few commercial plugins as well. The most recent one by a nice guy from Tasmania, actually, I think, called Simon Cousins, called the Super Tool. And it adds tuning lines to editable tuning lines and speed punk-like curvature to it. And it's a little more expensive than SpeedPunk. That's because a share of the money you pay to Simon goes to Janone. So every time you buy, so if you think, oh, no, I don't have to buy SpeedPunk anymore, but I kind of feel sorry for Janone. Now you don't have to. Don't worry, you can buy Super Tool, and Janone gets his share. So. Another thing that we did for integration, I don't know if I wonder, is there anyone in the audience who has ever used AppleScript? Please raise your hand. Oh, wow. Okay, so the victims, okay. And I know it's like that when you use it for an extended time, why doesn't this work like in Python? And but there's cool stuff you can do with AppleScript because you have a lot more possibilities with inter-application communication, and we have pretty much extensive AppleScript support now. You can access pretty much every object in Glyphs through AppleScript. If you have to. You can. And should I say that if you need support, you can just call us, but just try to figure it out yourself first. I'm just kidding. A new tool is in the toolbar that has made its way to the toolbar since Sao Paulo. It's the pencil tool. People that use drawing tablets, they will love this, and you can now freely draw your shapes. So if you're that kind of person, and we do some preliminary cleanup, so it's not a totally like every 2 units new node kind of path. that's, but of course it will need some manual cleanup anyway, but it's a pretty good start if you use tablets. And of course, in the course of a year, there are many, many little small improvements. I can only cover very few, of course. For instance, little things like when you have the find glyphs dialog, for instance, when you add a component or when you just want to insert a glyph that you cannot type on your keyboard into the edit view. I don't have a Devanagari keyboard, but I want one of the Matra glyphs, or all of the Matra glyphs from Devanagari, for instance. So I would type Deva and Matra in there, and it will find all the glyphs that contain these words. That saves a lot of time. Or you see here the lowercase h has a warning sign in there. That's an indicator that the metric key is out of sync. So you can now quickly spot this, double click it and see, whoops, the right side bearing should be equals to n, but it's not. I can click the update button and everything's good again. Or can do much more smart filtering. So we have smart list, more smart list options than ever before. For instance, we can query for certain, if the metrics key are out of sync, or if it has custom glyph info. So if you like use your own glyph data on specific glyphs inside, and you want to spot that, or maybe you want to reset that to the default of glyphs or something, you can now do that. You can find auto-aligned or non-auto-aligned glyphs. You can find all. You can, of course, logically concatenate these things, and you find all the compound glyphs that are not auto-aligned. Oops, there's some work to do. If you've been using glyphs, you know what a custom parameter is. This allows for non-destructive editing or non-destructive working. We have added lots and lots and lots of new custom parameters to it. I'm not going through the list, don't worry. So you can look that up in the changelog. There's a lot happened. You can do maybe one thing, the third one from top, we can locally interpolate. We can have a different interpolation coordinates for a group of glyphs at export time. So if you always find it's in the medium, the lowercase g always looks a little bit too light, well, yeah, we can interpolate the lowercase g differently. And of course, you can put all of these custom parameters into Glyphs project files, and that you can keep separate from your original Glyphs file, and you can export complete families with all alterations that you want to do, and all kinds of esoteric settings that you want to insert into that export. Maybe for web fonts you need that, or maybe for the TTFs that are supposed to work in Word, and you don't have to clutter or mess up the original Glyphs file. That's the good thing. We import and export much more than we used to do, and much better than we used to do it. And yes, and maybe not such a small thing really, it's a big thing. Glyphs now speaks Chinese. Yeah, and it's not only traditional Chinese, but also simplified Chinese. Yeah, so you can, thanks to the people at Founder, the Glyphs now has a Chinese interface. Wow.
It's really annoying to use your own software in a different language like Chinese. It's not possible in a lot of cases.
Yeah, but with the shortcuts, I think you could find your way around. I guess I know what "safe" means in Chinese, but I can't pronounce it. TrueType. There is a lot of things we added in terms of TrueType functionality. For instance, we have the latest TTF auto hints. For those of you who were at TypeCon and saw Dave's presentation there, you know that we integrated the TTF auto hint user interface we did our own version of it. And so you can do all the settings for TTF auto hint 1.5 and all the settings you wished for. Even control instructions. So you can insert your control instructions right into a custom parameter, of course. So you can do all of your TrueType stuff inside of Glyphs. Speaking of which, you can set separate TrueType zones. And because it's TrueType, we can do a little more magic, and we can attach one zone to another. So for instance, you see here in the middle, the small caps alignment zone it depends on the X height. So if the X height moves, maybe if you, because I don't know, like in that ppm, the X height is like 1 pixel extra, then the small cap's height has to move as well, right? So, yeah.
It's like mostly about rounding, of course. So if the X height happen to round down, the small cap height is supposed to round down to not up.
Yeah.
Of like the lower line, the lower bar of the upper superior figures or stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, and Glyphs now does deltas. Yes, we do. Any touched node, you can add a delta, or you simply select it and use your cursor key, and then you have a delta for the current pixel size and the current instance that is set, right? And
it's not seen in the picture, but we have that for a while, that the TrueType hints are actually attached to the PostScript outlines, just as the presentation of Adam showed. But it's also possible to have that on a multiple master file. So you only add the hints to your first master, and all the hints are distributed to all instances. And so the delta setting depends on what instance you are just looking at. So that will apply the deltas to that particular instance only.
Yeah. Yes, we only need to do hints once if all the masters are compatible, of course. Yes. Oh, and then we have a special announcement, or maybe there's some more talk about this, but we're very happy that Andres Torresi, with the generous help of Google and Dave Crossland, who contributed a lot, is open sourcing his letter spacer. Now that automatically analyzes your shapes and tries to automate spacing. I know what you think now. Is spacing automating? Are you crazy? That's an integral part of my design. Yes, of course, but try it first. It's pretty amazing. And it's, you can, I think, is it already available for download? I believe it is, as of yesterday, I think. And it integrates very well into Glyphs, and you can even set a custom parameter for it. All right. Yes, here you see, you can set, this is, since Andres is a Spanish-speaking person, he has his Glyphs set to Spanish, and you can set a parámetro personalizado, and then have your spacing adjusted automatically. Yes, that's Glyphs 2.3 as far as that goes. One thing, though, as much as Glyphs is a private business, it is also a community effort, and many of the things you saw right now would not be possible without the continuous input we get from, I see many people in here that have contributed. Hi, hello, hey. Oh, Mattia is there. Hi. Okay. And thank you all for sending bug reports, feature requests, and contributing to the Glyph database, and for all the extra information we needed to automate Devanagari, for instance. We got a lot of input from our users. Of course, we don't usually speak all these languages, but so we are very grateful for all the support we get, and so we are very happy to return some of the support. All right, thank you very much, and dziękuję.
Guys, thank you. You have to stand back behind this line, I heard. We do have time for questions. There's a question, great.
Just one short question. What about auto-kerning?
You will. Whoa. You will see some of that later today, I think. Also here, I think Toshi is going to present something, and there is there's some plugins that are available that help you with that, and as you know, Peter Karov's algorithm is inserted in InDesign, and you can use one of my scripts to steal the Karov automatic kerning from InDesign, if you like that. But that's just for if you don't have any kerning at all. And yeah.
So there are some things going on with kerning. We were thinking about trying to use the auto-spacing tool for kerning too, but it's all just like solved over coffee yet. So.
Any other questions? People want to go for coffee? Any other, last call on questions? Okay, well, go get some coffee in a Danish or 4, and definitely be back here by 11:30 because we want to keep this running on time. For the first time in the history of the world, Google, Apple, Adobe, and Microsoft will be on stage here in this venue, so don't be late for that. Thank you.